Hello and welcome to FIRSTtalk, where we simplify super. My name's Andy and today we're joined by Lou and Jason, and we're going to be talking about the First Home Super Saver Scheme. In the media there's a lot of attention at the moment around what they're calling the housing crisis, and there's certainly debates happening with respective political parties about whether members should be able to access their super to buy a home. We're not here to discuss that particular point of it. At this moment in time, members can access their super as a deposit on their first home. So we're going to be talking about the how and the what is it that the member needs to take into consideration if they're interested in using their super to help them buy their first home. So Jason, let's start off with how is it that the member can use their super to build up funds to put a deposit on their first home?
Yeah, so the First Home Super Saver Scheme, the most important thing to note is that your employer contributions don't count towards what you can take out. So it's really your voluntary or your personal contributions are what you can access.
Okay, so this is about making additional voluntary personal contributions in addition to your employer ones, because you want to build up some money in which to then use to purchase your first home. It's kind of like a forced way of building a deposit for your home. So when we're talking about contributions, Lou, I mean, what type of contributions are we making reference to?
Yeah, so Jason mentioned that we're talking voluntary contributions. There are different types of voluntary contributions. There's what's called concessional and non-concessional. So they can come out of your pay either before tax or after tax.
And give me some examples of what they are. So it's like salary sacrifice, there's a personal tax deductible contribution as a concessional, and then these after tax, you know, what do we describe those as?
Yeah, so that's money that comes out of your pay that's taxed first, and then that deduction goes into your super fund as a contribution.
Okay, so we actually got a video that explains those types of contributions a little bit more, or you could go to our website. There's lots of information on there if you're trying to work out, well, which one is best for me. So, okay, what is it the members got to be a little bit wary about? They're going, hey, this sounds great. I can throw my money into super, then I can take it back out again, but...
Yeah, there's certainly limits of what can be put in the first place, and then there are limits of what can be taken out. And the thing to note is that the total lifetime limit of what you can take out is not the same of what you can put in any year. So if you dump a whole bunch in, 40, 50,000 for argument's sake, and try to take that out in the same period of time, the ATO is going to say, no, you're not allowed to take that amount out, and that is going to be locked into super.
So it could well change, but what is the maximum you can take out per financial year?
So the maximum amount that you can take out is 50,000 in total, and the maximum amount that you can put in any given financial year that can apply to that is $15,000. So it'll take you a few years to build up to that lifetime limit.
Okay. All right. And for our Kiwi savers, they can actually use those monies as well to assist them in buying their first home. And again, we've got a separate video that explains all that in that regards. So, okay, we've talked about, all right, the First Home Super Scheme is really about making additional contributions into my super. There's certain ways that I can do it. There's caps on how much I can put in. And then to your point, Jason, what you just got to be wary about, there is only so much that you can take out after 4 years. And it's representative of what you contributed in that financial year in regards. So, okay, great. I've built up my money. Now what happens when I've actually found some that I want to buy? What happens next?
Yeah, so certainly there's issues in regards to timing in terms of buying property and things like that. So first and foremost, what we try to say to people is that if you do out and go find a property, certainly don't sign any contracts, because if you sign contracts first and then go to apply for your super under the First Home Super Saver Scheme, the tax office will not allow a release of funds. So first and foremost, don't sign any contracts. Apply for your super first, and then you can go ahead and look for properties.
Because, I mean, what's the issue with that? Is there something about like a 12-month period as well?
Yes, certainly. So essentially the way it works is that once the tax office approves the release, whatever that amount is, you've got 12 months to use that money. If you don't use that money within that 12 months, technically speaking, you've got to put it back into your super fund, and then you can't apply for it again. So it's all about timing. If you're not ready to buy a home, probably better off waiting.
Okay, so I mean, really the key message there is that if you're ready to, or if you found your property that you want to buy for your first home, get in touch with the super fund.
Absolutely.
Just to find out a little bit more about what you should do next. Okay, so all right, I found the property. I've notified the fund that I want to access my super to help me buy my first home. What's the process, Jason? What's next?
The important note is, as Lou alluded to, it's actually administered by the ATO. So the ATO will be the ones that determine whether they release that amount and how much they release. And it's based on, again, the amount that you've put in, and they will also determine an associated earnings or interest component on that amount that they will release to you as well.
Okay, so sorry, just that last bit. What's this about the ATO and determining the interests?
Yeah, so actually it doesn't matter how much your super fund earns over the period of time that it's invested in. The ATO have a set amount that they will say, doesn't matter what super fund or what investment option that you're in, this is how much that it's earned, and that'll be allocated to you.
Okay. All right, so this pool of money that after up to 4 years that I can access to put into use as my deposit on my first home is a combination then at the end of the day, these additional contributions I've put in each financial year and then what the ATO has deemed that money has earned over that period of time. Okay, so Lou, you had a great example of a member that was actually looking for a home, and can you just share that with us?
Yes, certainly. As we mentioned before, it's all about timing. So what you'll find is that when contributions are paid into super, whether it's a voluntary contribution or for our Kiwis, whether it's KiwiSaver, they're all reported to the tax office. It's important to note that we don't necessarily report it on the day that we receive the money, so it's all about timing. If you want to go and apply for your money under the First Home Saver Scheme, you're better off contacting the fund, letting us know. What we will then do is we'll notify the tax office of the contribution that's been received to speed up the process. Otherwise you might find that if you're ready to apply, we might not have advised the tax office and therefore they don't know that we have the money.
About the money. Yeah. All right, so today we've spoken about the First Home Super Saver Scheme. We explained about how you got to make additional contributions. You've got to be wary about the caps that are on those and then how much of those monies you can access in future years as well. The key message overall though is that if when you're ready to buy your first home, get in touch with the super fund just to find out what the next steps are before you sign a contract. There's a lot of information that's available. Have a look at our website. There's also the ATO website itself, which has a lot of good information and examples on it as well. But if you're wanting to talk to someone a little bit more about this, there is the contact centre, and there's also our local coordinators such as Lou that may be in your local area that you can have a discussion with as well. And if you really want some advice and some personal advice on how best to do this, what type of contribution should you make of that nature, then there is the financial advice team as well that you can contact. So hopefully we've shared a little bit of information that's got your curiosity. Like I say, have a look at our website, have a chat to us if you want further information on this. But until next time, take care.